There are two topics I wanted to discuss this week. But before I get to that, I wanted to take a moment to say something about Trump's reaction to the murder of Rob and Michelle Reiner. What a despicable human being. If I can even call him that. To say what he said, he is pure evil with no redeemable qualities. He is a petty, jealous man. He's jealous of Rob Reiner's success and respect that others had for him. Trump also can't stand anyone that is critical of him. He'll do and say anything to make himself seem better. After his comments on Truth Social and follow-up questions, it shows the evil within him. Enough said about that sick man. I guess as the year ends, a couple of things have been on my mind. First, I want to talk about moving to the Chicago area. If I step back to 2018, 2019, we were looking to relocate. A friend had moved to Florida and talked about us moving there. After several visits, we decided to make the move. Why? First, it would be nice to be near our friends. Also, I look forward to getting away from the cold weather. It was also nice that during the winter, we got almost an extra hour of daylight. Finally, Florida, especially where we were located, near the Gulf of Mexico, it was a beautiful area. We moved to Florida in July of 2020, during the height of COVID. We were isolated during the first year of being there. As things began opening up, a few things became clear. The beauty of the area began to lose a little of the sheen. Why? Well, as the vaccine for COVID was available, things began to open up, including travel. We made a trip to Toronto. To get there, we needed to have proof of vaccination. It was nice to know when you got on the plane, everyone on board had been vaccinated. In Toronto, wherever you went, you needed to show proof that you had been vaccinated. This gave us a sense of relief, knowing that we were a lot more safer when we went out to eat at a restaurant or travel about the city. This was such a difference than our experience in Florida. In Florida, when you went out, you were never sure of those around you. Were they vaccinated or not? Because of the big anti-vax movement or belief in Florida, you just didn't know. Little things began to strike me. Listened to our pool technician one time and just trying to have a friendly conversation, began to talk about the COVID hoax. He told me how his grandfather had died and the hospital told his family he had died of COVID. But they would have none of that. Their grandfather had numerous medical ailments, and that was really the reason he died. As much as I tried to explain those with medical risks were more at risk of dying from COVID, this was a waste of time. But that was only the beginning. It became increasingly common to find any conversations could easily go down the rabbit hole. What might start off as a normal conversation could easily turn into a situation whereby it would be like trying to talk logic to a drunk. It seemed as if Florida was a place of many lost souls. People would speak of their hard lives, of feeling screwed over, about broken relationships, about numerous other struggles. In most cases, I want to feel empathy, but these stories would be combined with a lot of anger and hate, feeling that someone else was responsible for the troubles or misery. Or there would be this blind faith to those that could care less about the state of well-being of people. Instead, they would be more focused on their anger and hatred. As 2024 approached, wherever I would go, there would be Trump 2024 signs, flags, banners, bumper stickers. As much as the natural beauty of the state struck me, the mindset began to outweigh the benefits. This became especially true after the 2024 election. I knew Florida wasn't meant for us. Attending a number of No Kings and Hands Off protests, the number of people that would drive by with their angry and hostile comments shouting out their car windows. So much anger and hatred. Our decision was made. We would move to the Chicago area to be closer to our son. Our visits to Chicago were enjoyable, and the mindset seemed much different. We headed to Chicago at the end of August and moved into our house just outside of Chicago at the end of September. When asked where we came from, I would say Florida. The reaction would be one of, why would you do that? Winter once again? The cold? Brrr. However, there was such a different feel here. It's hard to put into words. There are little things. It seemed like everywhere I went, people just seemed nicer. Not in an artificial way, but in a genuine way. It's nice going out to fetch my morning paper, walk the neighborhood, or go to our favorite hangout place. And going to a No Kings protest, to see the number of people there and the lack of angry people driving by yelling out abusive comments was so refreshing. And to see the number of people supporting each other as Trump sent in his thugs to the Chicago area. The change of seasons for me is refreshing. So far, we've had record snowfall and frigid temperatures at times, but in some ways, it awakens the spirit. It feels so much more real. I think I will trade off winter for a more tolerable environment. So I may be delusional, but do feel much better and more connected to the area than I did in Florida. And now on to my second topic, Bill Maher. I've been watching him in what feels like forever. Over the past few years or so, there are certain aspects of his thinking that has bothered me. The biggest thing is his self-righteousness. At times cherry-picking certain articles to try and prove his point, or making statements with no real facts to back himself up. One thing was related to his dinner with Donald Trump. Since this dinner, he is now an expert on Trump, explaining that he knows him better than others because he had one dinner with him. That he has more insight into him than others and isn't as bad of a person as people make him out to be. The one thing I would say to him is maybe, just maybe, Bill, he suckered you in and stroked your ego just enough to make you see him differently now. Who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? Oh, by the way, thanks Obi-Wan Kenobi for that quote. I know, Bill, I'm just a simple commoner. I don't have the money or fame that you do. But it doesn't stop me from questioning your perception. The next thing that really bothers me is his generalization, anti-Muslim opinions, whether it is on Muslims in the Middle East or the situation in Gaza. He often speaks of how brutal they are, or how repressive the regimes are. I won't disagree to a certain extent, yet look at how our government supports many of those oppressive regimes. Look at how Trump kisses up to them to enhance his family's fortunes. And as to the brutality, yes, in these Arab countries, the brutality that goes on is shameful and barbaric. But my question to him would be, what about the so-called civilized Western Christian countries like America? The outright visual examples of brutality carried out by terrorists are instantaneous. But what of the brutality of economic murder? What was done to U.S. aid? Because we don't see the end results here, doesn't make it less brutal. What about the infant mortality rate in this country? The U.S. ranks 33 out of 38 of the countries listed in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Child poverty rate in this country is far worse than other OECD countries. From 2007 to 2021, the suicide rate for children 10 to 24 increased by 64% in this country. Once again, the U.S. has the highest rate compared to other countries. Why do I mention all these stats? Because Bill likes to point out the brutality of Muslims, but doesn't mention this slow method of killing. Because it isn't an immediate form of murder doesn't make it less horrible, but he never seems to see this or best acknowledge it. He'll group all those that have protested to support the Palestinians in Gaza as if they also support Hamas. My question is, what do you base your statement on? I'm sure there are those that support Palestinians also support Hamas, but I say it would be most likely be more of a minority than a majority. But that doesn't stop him from grouping everyone together. It just feeds into his obvious disdain for Muslims. The other thing that bothers me was his concept of pro-capitalism, anti-socialism stance. He always likes to point out how socialism has failed. My question to him is, where has it applied and where has it failed? Also, if it has failed, what led to its failure? Let's look at one historical example. In 1970, Chile elected Salvador Allende as president. One of his first moves was to throw out U.S. companies and nationalize industries. His government implemented a widespread redistribution of wealth and increased wages. The same was true with the redistribution of lands to peasants and workers. He increased funding for health care and education. He also allowed peasants and workers increased participation in the managing of their workplaces. In 1973, with the support of Nixon, Kissinger, and the CIA, Allende was overthrown by Augusto Pinochet, which opened the door to all the U.S. companies to take back over the industries in Chile. During the coup, with an attack on the presidential palace, Allende took his own life. Later, Orlando Letelier, a former Chilean ambassador and foreign minister under President Salvador Allende, was assassinated in Washington, D.C. on September 21, 1976. He was killed by a car bomb in the Sheraton Circle plotted by the DINA secret police ordered by Pinochet. So, a country that moved towards socialism didn't fail because of the concepts behind socialism. It didn't succeed because of the intervention of Nixon, Kissinger, and the CIA. This is true of many countries that attempted to move away from capitalism. In many of these cases, U.S. corporations were extracting resources for their own profits at the expense of the people of these countries. So, if capitalism isn't working for you as a country, you would look for alternative forms of government, as Chile did in 1970. As in Chile, the U.S. has always been involved in making sure those attempts fail. Don't believe this? Just look at other Central and South American countries that have attempted to break away from these corporations. Move beyond the Western Hemisphere and look at the other side of the world. Look at Iran or the Philippines, or how we set up dictators such as the Shah of Iran and Fernando Marcos. Others, Suharto in Indonesia, Batista in Cuba, Somoza in Nicaragua, Stroessner in Paraguay, Branco in Brazil, Noriega in Panama, Seco in Zaire, now the Republic of Congo, Franco in Spain, Salazar in Portugal. Now look at the situation in Venezuela. Hugo Chavez attempted to bring a more equitable distribution of wealth. He also was seen as an enemy of the United States. The major bone of contention? Oil. Look at what Trump is now focused on, dismantling the government of Venezuela. He's even talked about using the CIA to help overthrow the current government, as well as capturing an oil tanker and setting up a blockade. I'm not saying Venezuela is in that right. It just shows how the U.S. will do all it can if a country doesn't cater to the needs of these corporations. So when Bill talks about socialism being a failure, I like to ask him, dig a little deeper into history. Again, I'd ask him, what countries was he referring to? So come a little off your high horse and do some research before you make such generalized statements. I enjoy your show, but you just need to explain yourself a little bit more. And yeah, Bill, I know I'm not a successful star like you and don't have the money that you have. But still, I would ask you to consider these things. Everyone have good holidays and a good new year. And until next time.
I'm Lee's town baby. I'm gonna pin crazy on your door. Oh, yeah. I'm Lee's old town. Pin crazy on your door. Oh, you won't be there, baby, no, but I won't be hanging around your house no more. No, I ain't got no only woman. Talk, baby, talk to me. Oh, yeah. No little woman, sit down and talk, baby, talk to me. When come and see me when I was sitting down on my knees. Yes, I want to pin that crazy on your door. I want to leave low town, black crate pin on your door. I won't be there. I ain't coming back in your town no more. Coming home, little woman, please put your man outdoors. When you see me coming home, little woman, please throw your man outdoors.